Good morning, grade 7. How are you today, Miss? Miss, today we will start with lesson 7 from chapter 1, distributive property, on page 46. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to use distributive property to simplify expressions. So actually, if there is a parenthesis and there is a number out of the parenthesis and it's multiplied by this number, of course. Now, if I ask you to simplify means that I have to use the distributive property and move the parenthesis, okay? Now, let's go and understand what do we mean by distributive property. Now, to distribute, actually, it means that to divide something or give or share a part of something. And actually, this is what we do. When we multiply, when we make the distributive property, actually, we are share, okay, the number outside the parenthesis to everyone with every number or every term actually inside the parenthesis. There's a difference between a term and a number. Now, if I say a term, actually, a term could be a number or variable, or a number and a variable, but the terms are separated by each other by, a negative sign or positive sign, by addition or subtraction. So if you want to multiply, you have to multiply by every term inside the parenthesis by the number that, or the factor that's outside the parenthesis. According to the distributive property, multiplying the sum of two or more addends by a number will give the same result as multiplying each addend individually by the number and then adding the products together. What do I mean by that? I mean this exactly. Now, if you want to, multiply 5 times, and we open parentheses and we say it's 9 minus 6. Now, you have the choice to solve it by, two methods, okay? One of you will subtract 6 from 9, will say 9 minus 6 equals 3. Then he will multiply 3 times 5, it will be 15. Now, what if I actually decided to simplify this term, or sorry, this let's say a numerical expression using the distributive property? I can simplify it by what, Miss? By multiply 5. If I want to remove the parenthesis, I will multiply 5 times 9 minus, and don't forget the minus, 5 times 6. So 5 times 9, Miss, it's 45. Minus 5 times 6, it's 30. Then I say 45 minus 30 equals 15, which is the same as when you actually subtract 6 minus or 9 minus 6 equals 3 times 5 equals 15. So why do I have to do the distributive property? Because it's not always numbers only inside the parenthesis. In many times, Miss, I have a term that consists of a number and a variable. So I have to use at that time I have to use the distributive property, because I will solve this equation using the distributive property. Okay, now, so as you can see here, as you can notice here, now one of the terms inside the parenthesis is x, variable x. So how do I solve this? Actually, I multiply 4 times. How do I simplify it? I cannot solve it actually, Miss, because it's not an equation. If I ask you a question here, I will ask you to simplify it. Okay, simplify means that you have to multiply 4 times x plus 4 times 3, which is 12. Okay, so as you can see, we use the distributive property to simplify these terms, or to simplify this numerical expression by multiply the number that's outside the parenthesis with the terms inside the parenthesis, and don't forget the addition sign inside it. Because most of the students, they get actually confused, and then they start to write, instead of addition, multiplication. And this is it's a mistake. It's a huge mistake because actually you have to put in your mind that there is an operation there's an operation happening inside the parenthesis, and you multiply because distribute it means multiply by the number out it. You multiply 4 times x, okay, but you have to notice that there is an operation happens inside the parenthesis. Then you have to keep add or the plus sign after remove parenthesis. Now if I can, there is another slide that explains the distributive property. It allows us to get rid of parentheses or remove parentheses by bringing a multiplication from outside to inside parentheses. Now here, look, you can notice that if I want to get rid of the parentheses here, I can multiply a times b plus a times c, okay? And it's the same if you multiply b times, if because this is actually, it's commutative property, the multiplication, it has actually, one of the multiplication properties is the commutative property, where a times b equals b times a, no difference, miss. Now, I can distribute when I have a negative sign or a subtraction in parentheses. Yes, miss, of course I can distribute it, no problem. But I have to put in consideration that there is a negative sign inside. There is minus. The operation here, it's subtraction, it's not addition. So it's a times b, ab, minus a times c, which is ac. Okay? Now, let's go to the other slide, which is actually an example. Okay, you can notice that this is an example. Actually, this is equation. Okay, and I will use the distributive property to solve this equation. Okay, it's not only simplifying numbers or simplifying a numerical expression and get a number. No, actually this is an equation, since there is a number to the right and there are variables and numbers to the left. Actually, you can notice that there is one variable only in one equation, so I can solve it and find out x. Now here, what do I have to do? Actually, I have to get rid of the parentheses, or remove the parentheses by distribute 4 to both x and 3. Now 4 times x, it's 4x, minus 4 times 3, it's 12. So you can see it's 4x minus 12, which equals to 20. Okay, now 4x minus 12. Now, so what do I do here? Actually, I want to find out the value of x, so I keep 4x alone, so I have to remove negative 12 from here and send it to the other side. How? By adding 12, because if you add 12, the answer will be 0. So it will be 4x minus 12 plus 12, the answer is 0, but because it's an equation, whatever you do here, you have to do it here, miss. So even here you have to add 12. Why? Because you add 12 in the left side, so you have to add 12 in the right side. So here it will be 20 plus 12, and here it will be 4x alone. Okay, then is this the final answer of the solution? No, miss. Why? Because actually this is 4x. I want only x. How can I solve this? Actually, by dividing by 4. Why do I have to divide? Because actually it's multiplied, x is multiplied by 4. So if I want to, get rid of 4, I have to divide by it, so that I will get 1, which is 1 times x equals x. So I divide it by 4, and whatever I do here, I do in the next side, I divide it 32 by 4. In the left side, I have x only, so 4x over 4 equals x, and it equals to 32 over 4 equals 8. So the answer is 8. Okay, and if you try to here do the same to check out if your solution is correct, you make 8 minus 3 equals 5. 5 times 4 equals 20, which is the same right side. So let's now open the book, please, and discuss together and try to solve the problems together. And if you have any question, let's ask and discuss.